Hello and welcome to the Reading Entertainment Podcast, episode 389 for March 5th, 2023. My name is Nathan Reensbruth. Joining me this week, we have Connor, the Cyberpunk Monk Besh.
We're going to tell you all about the news this week.
We are telling you all about some news this week. And we have Andrew Rowe McFain.
It's me, the newsman. Come on down to the news shop. We got news.
Yes, exactly. And I am your news buddy, Nathan Reensbruth. So let's ask Cyberpunk Monk. Where can we find you?
You could find me, you could find you, and you could find Aroa at a website called aroa.website. You punch that in your browser, you click OK, you listen to some fine jams, and then you can click on whatever social media link that you want for us. One of those I'd like to draw your attention to is Clinton's Core Classics, a Rise of the Rune Lords first edition actual play podcast. I worked pretty hard on it, and I think you would like it too.
It sounds like you have a fan on in the background.
Go talk to Aroa. Let me fix that.
All right, and so Aroa, we already found out where we can find you. What games have you played this week? Oh, wait, before we do that, before the podcast, you said you got high yesterday.
I did.
Was this legal or? Well, I mean,
yeah,
legal or legal in Illinois?
illegal in Illinois.
Oh, nice.
Wait, where? that phrasing doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, it's what I mean is like marijuana is legal in Illinois for recreational use, I believe. But not
how else
legal
would you
federally.
get high?
There are many ways you can get high.
But how else would you get high where it's legal, but not just legal in state?
Like prescription drugs.
I think abusing prescription drugs is illegal.
It is, but you can still, like, if you take, Vicodin or something, you still get a high off of it. That's why they tell you not to operate like heavy machinery.
I guess I see what you're saying, but no, I use the THC.
Oh, okay.
He injected it right in his eyelids.
I did, and let me tell you, I ate way too much food as a result, and felt very sick until like 3 a.m. when I finally went to sleep.
Yeah, that can happen when you get high like that.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was worth it.
You don't
time.
You don't often partake in
I do
recreational
not, actually.
drugs.
No, it's the first time in like 2 years, I think.
Interesting. So what games have you played this week?
Really the only thing has been Atomic Heart.
Oh yeah.
Which,
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Are you liking it?
Really?
It's all right.
Yeah.
Uh,
I didn't think you liked BioShock.
No, I played all the way through BioShock Infinite.
No, we did.
Yeah, BioShock's good. I like BioShock.
Yeah. But
like-
Atomic Heart isn't just BioShock, is the thing. Like, it's marketed to look like BioShock, certainly. But I don't know what to call it. It's like a AAA version of a like Russian Steam game. Like, you know what I mean? Like an indie game.
Yeah. I would say it's more
it-
double A, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It looks really nice. And
Mhm.
features full professional quote unquote voice acting. And it's got a lot to it. But there isn't a goddamn original bone in the gameplay to speak of.
No.
Every single aspect is ripped from something else that does it better. The climbing in particular, like climbing up pipes and shimmying over on ledges and shit, all of that, like you could take some segments of that gameplay and say that it's like a custom map in Dying Light, and it would be 100% believable, because like everything about how that feels just is straight ripped from Dying Light.
So I'm gonna back up here. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Yeah.
When I spoke about it last week, I said that I had a problem because of the Dying Light, because I had just played Dying Light not too long ago. I was having a problem with like the dodge button being the B button. Did you run into that, or is that just a me thing?
Well, I'm playing with keyboard and mouse because I'm not a plebeian.
Oh, okay.
So
I gotcha.
It's the shift key for me, which makes sense, but also like I don't like the dodge function. It feels really just not good.
Yeah.
Like I would rather just be able to block.
Yeah, and they also have the melee. So they have melee and they have weapon like guns and shotguns and stuff. And I was like, man, this melee is annoying. Oh wait, these shotguns are way better.
And like, yeah, it's weird because like very early on, it makes it seem like all bullets are going to be real scarce. You don't want to use your guns, but in reality, it doesn't really matter very much. And like once you get the freezing power, a lot of individual enemies become completely trivial.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. How far did you get in there?
I did get the freezing power, and I also got the gel, like the gel that you can spray on them and make things more potent, I guess.
Yeah.
But so I got those.
Did you get out of the facility?
I believe I did. Yes.
Did you get to the open world?
I think I had just gotten there when I quit.
So that is pretty much where I am. Is I just got into the open world and I'm like, oh, okay, so now this is Far Cry.
Okay.
And that's kind of what it feels like to some degree. It's just like everything again just feels very half-assed, and there are some features like how I can control the cameras whenever I'm in this one building. That's like, why can I do this? This seems pointless. Also, the whole fucking security camera mechanic is really annoying and seems to only serve to piss me off.
I did not get to that part.
So whenever you're out in the open world, they sort of like half introduce it while you're still in the tutorial facility, where like there are security cameras, and if they catch you killing another robot, then they'll tell on you.
Oh yeah.
But that doesn't actually like function while you're in the tutorial facility, I noticed. But once you're out in the open world, it reintroduces this mechanic and it actually like functions. So if a security camera sees you, it tells all the robots in the area to go where you are. And then if you attack any of the robots while that camera still sees you, then it alerts the big robot in the sky, who then sends in more robots after you. Okay. So it's essentially like a wanted level system, but there are only 2 stars, and it sucks.
Oh,
because like if you get in any kind of combat while you're out in the open, you are fucked. And like it was funny the first time it happened, because your little glove companion buddy is like, yeah, looks like you're fucked. Like straight up. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of completely out of character for that thing, but all right. And I thought maybe that was, an exaggeration, but no, you just have infinite spawning enemies, and like there's a new kind of enemy that gets introduced that can just fucking throw bombs at you from way far away and you can't see them. So it's just obnoxious. Like I'm right on the edge of just being like, fuck this game, because of how obnoxious the game has suddenly become. I'm hoping that once it, like, I'm going to give it maybe another like hour or so, and I'm hoping that it introduces something to make this not a huge fucking pain in the ass, because I want to see what it has to say, but it's making it very difficult to stay motivated.
Awesome. I played it a little bit, and I wasn't underwhelmed with it. I just have other games that I've been playing. Like I've been playing, I'll talk about it, Persona 3 and stuff. So yeah, it's not a bad game, I don't think. But a lot of the reviews were basically saying it was awful and terrible, and I think that it stems a lot from what you said earlier, where it does a lot of things that other games do better.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, like what the developers were thinking that like maybe that's why it took so fucking long to develop, is that it had some degree of like feature creep where they were like, but what if we add in this? And what if we add in this? Because there's a whole like skill tree thing that doesn't feel like it really needs to be there. And the whole fucking weapon upgrade system just feels really overly complicated and again doesn't really need to be in there,
Yeah,
especially whenever you have to find blueprints out in the open world and then craft the upgrade from there. It just seems like, why not just make them like story progression items? I
either
don't get that. Or just you find the upgrade, you know.
yeah, something like that where it's a little bit easier. But and then also like the upgrade robot flirts with you a bunch
Yeah.
and then stops randomly flirting with you a bunch.
So that is something that it took me a minute to figure out, but it's that like some of them aren't like modified because they were modified by the one dude that you're chasing for
Oh,
some
I see.
reason, but some of them aren't like that. Because that's what I'm saying is like I'm digging the story, but I just like everything else about the game is just like, man, I just don't want to fucking deal with this shit.
That makes sense. Did you play anything else?
Nothing worth mentioning.
Okay, we're gonna move on to Connor. What games have you played this week?
Hey, it's me, and hopefully it doesn't sound like a fan is going on anymore in my background.
I had a
I've
cat the whole time, so
Just the whole
Yeah, I
time.
mean, no one's listening anyways. I played a bit of Space Station 13, and I do want to talk about that before I surrender my time here. I also think I'm like dangerously close to starting to play Shenmue again, which is just a great game. I feel like getting lost in a game again, maybe in a way that the game that I haven't, the other game I've been playing, which is Red Dead Redemption, can't quite do, which I guess is being a 1980s schoolboy karate kid. It's a good game.
Well, you have to
I know I just made fun of it, but it's a good game.
you have to collect all the gotchas.
I do love getting little like Sega figurines.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn enjoyable. I'm not gonna lie. And then
why not
was one
just play the Yakuza?
because I'm not really looking for an action game, and Yakuza is gonna be more focused on action. I feel.
That's true.
Yeah, it is more focused. It feels to me like a more streamlined Shenmue.
It is.
Like
Yeah.
that's what the series ended up becoming, it was just Shenmue, but honestly done a little bit better.
Yeah, not anywhere near as boring.
I mean, it's. I'm not looking for a game to be like constantly entertained. You know, it's if I wanted a fighting game, I'd play Virtua Fighter, not Shenmue. But Shenmue offers something that another fighter's not going to give you, like a chance to get lost in a world.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
what
you
I
can play
want.
Hang On.
And I could play Hang On.
Yeah, that's what I always did. Just wasted my time playing arcade games, and then they're like, "Yep, Londi took over the world." I'm like, "Oh, well, shit."
Yeah, but look at my high score.
Yeah,
But I want to go back to Space Station 13 for just a second. You guys know what like binary arithmetic is, right? It's, the fundamentals of how you can use ones and zeros to do calculations and stuff.
yes,
Yes.
For the longest time in Space Station 13, you could have modules that you could just deliver around and, program small, simple logic gates with. And yeah, if you're really good, you could even find things that translate base 2 to base 10, and then you're really cooking. What they've recently done, however, is they've changed that from a binary arithmetic module to just logic gates. And they have all sorts of ways you can interact with them, like tripwires if you want to detect people close by, hand sensors if you want to be able to detect specific people. And, it's all game specific, of course, but like they're really sophisticated. And in the same way that like people can recreate computers out of Redstone and Minecraft, I could see people getting really silly crazy with these things. Now, there is one limitation here, which is you're not going to have an unlimited amount of time in creative mode to build a computer. You're going to have an hour and a half to do this while people are threatening to blow up your workspace. But I'm kind of waiting for someone to do something crazy with it.
Are you going to be the one that's doing something crazy with it?
So far, I've just made advertising signs for people. But I, I mean, I've seen people do things that like automatically calculate fund transmissions. Like I said, it could detect certain people based on just like finding the string that is their unique DNA. Like people are already doing creative stuff with it.
Interesting. That game seems awesome if I wanted to spend like 90 hours learning how to play it.
You know how some games have a learning curve? This game's learning curve is like the cliffs of Dover.
Yeah, it's just a wall. Just
The learning wall.
yeah,
It's incredibly rewarding if you are willing to take the time, but I
Now you've
understand
learned
how
how to walk. Now it's time to learn how to use logic gates
what?
it's not that bad. It
and
doesn't have to
basic
be.
chemistry.
Yes, you will learn basic chemistry and basic medicine and basic engineering, basic electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. Like, I could start learning about nuclear physics because this game has a nuclear physics reactor simulator.
That sounds dangerous, my friend. And
There's
also,
more than
something magical about all this being done inside of like a fucking 20-year-old engine.
a 2004, and it was designed to simulate like aerospace, like for like ppm style, like stuff that particulates in the air. That's what this was designed for. It was all just a simulation tool. And then the source code got stolen, and someone said, haha, what a funny fart man, spaceman. And just look how far it's gone from there.
good times. Did you play? So you played Red Dead Redemption as well, I believe.
Played a little bit of Red Dead, and I'm not like doing the missions or anything. I'm just hunting, having a good time. I'm just playing video games to relax. If anything, that's the trend of my recommended here.
I don't understand the words. Play video games to relax.
I know, right?
I know
Like,
it's weird.
I don't want to get in firefights. I just want to like hang out in the forest for a while.
But video games are supposed to be stressful.
Yeah, exactly.
Why
Uh,
haven't I dodged 20 times before getting my chance to hit you once?
Have you got
That's
Space
That's what
Station?
people want.
Have you got Space Station 13 running on your Steam Deck yet?
No, you could host a client on a Linux-based system, but you cannot run the service. It needs to be Windows or I think Macintosh.
Well, that's sad. I wonder. I mean, I know they use Proton, but I just imagine that they haven't found a way to make it work with Proton yet.
It would be, I assume, very difficult to make that work
I would assume.
on just like a controller.
Well,
Well, I
it
mean, you
has
could-
basic controller support. I would not want to play it without a keyboard.
no.
Yeah.
And anything else notable that we should talk about?
I've been reading House of Leaves. That's an interesting book.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
shit, son.
What's that about? I have a book. I haven't started reading it yet. It's called It's Okay to Be Angry About Capitalism.
House of Leaves is like, that's not just a book, that's an experience.
It's been interesting so far. I'm surprised you know about this. It's kind of like a predecessor to the Backrooms, which is super popular right now. Kind of
Yeah.
the same kind of concept. It's been interesting. It's sort of like if you ever read Huckleberry Finn, which is a story inside of a story. This one takes place as a story inside of a story inside of a story, and that outer layer, that external one, I can't fucking stand it.
Is that the one that it's like? I think I had a friend who read it years ago, and it's really weird and like it's not necessarily like just a straight narrative. Is that?
Well, it's like,
I'm sorry,
It
I
uses-
don't remember much about it.
it uses a lot of qualities of like avant-garde poetry, where like the words on the page are arranged in a certain way to represent something in and of itself.
Tons of that.
I see.
It does that a lot. That's what attracted me to it. Is I love it whenever artists take a medium and just completely bastardize it into something different in order to make some sort of statement. I think it's fascinating.
That is interesting, and I don't know if I would like it.
Like I keep on reading it every night. It's got me hooked.
Well, that's good. I'm gonna move on and talk about the games I played this week. So Monday, I got together with a couple friends. Good friend a good friend Durga, and new friend
Get
Sarah.
with me? Who you talking about?
Not Aroa. Sorry, Roa doesn't play games with me. And Played some Overwatch. Actually did pretty well on Overwatch on Monday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I played through some Persona 3 Portable. I am getting towards the end of the game. And one thing that kind of upsets me, it doesn't really upset me because I'm not going to play through New Game Plus. I never do New Game Plus or, play games multiple times because I'm like, okay, game is done. I have 1,000 other games to play through, so I'm going to go do that. And you have like courage, academics, and charm are 3 things that you can kind of level up throughout the game. And with New Game Plus, you get to keep those courage, academics, and charm if you level them up all the way. The reason I bring this up is because there are some social links, 3 social links, each tied to one of those stats, that you can only start those social links if that stat is maxed. So it makes it way easier to get your social links, all of your social links all the way up, if you have those maxed, like during a New Game Plus. And that's what they expect, unless you go through a guide, which I am not using a guide. So that's annoying, but other than that, the game is pretty fun. As I said, I'm getting towards the end of the game, and I have most of the social links open. Not all the way to... I have a couple of them all the way to 10. And it has some really awkward moments. I think Connor came in to the stream at www.twitch.tv/Reeton.
Why did you use the www dot?
HTTPS :
Are you fucking 60 years old?
Yes.
I'm not 60. Anyway, so you can
Boomer.
So you can go to www.twitch.tv/Reeton, like a normal person.
Oh, one types that.
And so go there, press the follow button. You can watch. As I said, there are some awkward moments in the game because it is
like when you fuck your teacher.
No, that's Persona 5. 5, I think. Not Persona.
Can't fuck. Hey, you fucked the nurse in 5, right?
I think you can do both of those things.
Oh.
And
you
then
guys ever think that
in Persona
anime was a mistake?
Maybe.
No.
Persona 3, I have not. So there's at
least you're not playing as the girl, right?
No, I'm playing as the guy character.
Because she can fuck the boy.
Good.
Like the little boy.
Oh no. Please stop.
That's a real thing.
I want to get this monetized at some point in our lives. It's been like 6 years. It's not happening. But the thing is,
I'll shave my balls.
Stop it. Stop.
If you want me to.
Stop talking.
Look, we've already been sponsored by Manscaped.
Manscaped, I'll shave my anus with your tools if you want.
So,
if it will please you.
we weren't sponsored by it. It was Clinton's Core Classics. That was
if
sponsored.
we were sponsored by it, I would have said that on the podcast.
He would have. So anyway, there are some awkward moments in the game, and no, there is a character that you meet at the beginning of the game, and his goal is to hook up with a teacher. And so I have been purposely not progressing that social link. Because he's like the whole social link is you're talking to him. He's like, I got this plan to go on a date with the teacher. And I'm like, nah, I'm going to go hang out with the guy who eats a lot of food. That is one of the social links.
Whenever I stopped playing, I had just met that guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the most fucking random thing in this game so far, because he just is like, what kind of food do they serve at the shit buffet? What's the specialty of this bucket house? And it's like, I'm glad I have save states because I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I actually maxed out that social link. Anyway, we're the third game I played on Friday was a game called Coreborn, It is a game that's in alpha right now, and Steam had a thing where it was like, if you want to try to play this game, just request access, and the developers might give you access. And so I did that, and they gave me access, and it's a very, very, very calm game. There are some. It is a survival game, much similar to Rust or something like that.
Oh, this looks bare bones as fuck.
But it is super bare bones right now. And it also takes forever to do anything. So just building my first house took me the entire 3 hours. Because you have to get
house. How long did it take you to get a shirt?
Oh yeah, it took me longer to get a shirt because I couldn't find the ingredients. And then so you have to build the house before you can build a shirt. Thankfully, I found somebody who had built a house first, because in order to get the shirt, you have to make a dye and you have to have a cooking station. So you have to build a house so that you have a place that you can build a cooking station. So I found somebody who had a cooking station so that I could make the dye so I can make my shirt. It took forever. So one of my suggestions, because after you close the game, they're like, hey, do you want to fill out this survey and give us suggestions on what we can improve or change? I was like, just please cut everything in half. Just like all the requirements for like a wall, just cut it in half, because it just grinds the game to a halt. And I understand that's probably what they're going for, is that it just takes forever to do anything so you feel accomplished. But I'm sorry, it shouldn't take that long.
Accomplishment.
Yeah. However, halfway through the stream, the other person, there were like 3 or 4 people who were playing the game. One of those people came into my chat and rated me. So this was my most viewed stream ever, was with this game. My average
10 viewers.
73 viewers on average.
Damn, son.
Yeah. For the entirety of, like 2 people.
Fucking.
So I like it was like I got rated, so I don't know if they were just viewing that guy and like lurking, or if it was bots or what, because almost nobody talked and barely anybody followed when they rated me with like 180 people. But then once I left the stream, I rated a friend of mine with the remaining 98 people or whatever that had remained. And I was like, screw it. Gonna raid this person. And even if they're just lurkers, at least his viewership for that particular stream will be, 50-something.
I was trying to think of what this game reminded me of, and it's Craftopia.
I have that game as well.
Craftopia. Yeah.
I didn't like it.
It was on Game Pass at some point. I don't think it is anymore. At least it doesn't look like it.
Oh, right. I think I bought that game because it was on sale for like $20.
That makes sense.
If not Rustopia, then Craftopia. Then Rust, or I don't know.
Well, more so. The reason I say Craftopia in particular is that like Craftopia also just looks and feels like a game that is in perpetual alpha that somebody like cranked out over the course of a weekend, just playing with default Unity tools.
Well, and also the one thing to go back to Coreborn is the menus aren't done. You can tell that the menus aren't done.
Oh, yeah. That was like one of the prime things where I was like, holy shit, this is like just barely above default Unity menu assets. Like,
yeah. And I get it. You don't really care about the menu as much as like the gameplay. So like you can make boxes and it'll be fine.
And like the world looks like Nintendo Hire This Man, sort of like how it's just grass. So yeah, it's just grass.
That's giving it a pretty big pat on the back. I wouldn't even go that far.
But
sorry, developers.
Just that like somebody went terrain creation, click, and then that was it. That was the world. That's the world now.
Yeah.
And I know that again, it's like it's alpha, like they're just trying to get everything in place. But like why even release this? I don't know. I know it's like you have to request it, but still.
Yeah, and I understand. I think that it's more or less them just like trying to get the game out there, get a little bit of popularity.
Yeah, I guess it's marketing.
And then also, they want the feedback to see like, hey, what do we need to improve? One thing that I suggested, because another thing is, you think that the inventory menus look bad, just like the start and setting menus are even worse.
Well,
But
I just looked at trading, and like there are actual default like Unity UI buttons in there and shit. Like,
one thing that I suggested was there's no button so that when I alt tab, the music continues playing, play music in background.
Oh yeah,
and I hate that. I hate when I alt tab out of a game, even if it's borderless window, and the music stops.
oh, I see. I hate it whenever the music keeps playing. Usually,
see, and that's perfect.
but
like,
that's why it should be a toggle, right?
Exactly, because then we could both have what we want. The reason I don't like it is because I will sometimes alt tab to go to my chat or something like that, and the music will stop.
Oh yeah, it makes it more obvious.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't not have fun, but it did get kind of boring. Just being like, okay, now I got to go get more wood, and now I got to go get more twigs, and then I'm like I fill up my inventory with wood and twigs, and I can make like 3 walls, and then I have to go and do that again.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen.
No. And now you can make a chest, but then you have to do other things to make a chest, and like it's bothersome. So it just takes forever to do anything, and I think they could, even if they cut down the requirements by 25 or 50%, it would still take a long time to build something and just be a little bit more streamlined. But again, I suggested that to the developers, and we're going to move on. We're actually going to talk about some news stories. The first news story is one that I find flippin' hilarious, and that is from TechSpot. Secret crypto mining farm found in Massachusetts school crawl space.
Not gonna lie, when I was working at a university, I had this exact same idea.
You didn't do it, but
no,
you
of
had
course
the
not.
idea.
We got as far as like, okay, we could get power and we can get ports on a on a switch in a way that no one would notice. They would definitely notice. But like we could shove these in a place where they're not going to be physically locatable. And we would do it like within the ceiling. We would have power. We'd have like it'd probably start off as like a host of Raspberry Pis until we could scale it up. But like we planned it out, and then we went, "Ha! Wouldn't that be funny?"
And then you didn't do it.
And then we didn't do it because it's a
Didn't do
crazy
it.
fucking idea.
Yeah, because you could use a lot of money. Like that's a lot of money. I'm thinking that they would notice that their electricity bill went up by $17,000.
I mean, it's it's whatever. It's the city of Chicago.
That's
They
true.
could pay it.
So here is part of the story. It says cryptocurrency has fallen in hard times, making it unprofitable for about anybody running a mining operation. That is, unless you're letting someone else pay the bills. Massachusetts man was discovered to have set up an illegal mining farm in his previous employer's boiler room crawl space. The operation reportedly cost more than $17,000 in stolen electricity over an 8-month period. So about $2,000 a month. It was 39-year-old Nadim Nahas was charged by the town of Cohasset, Mass, with fraudulent use of electricity and vandalizing.
Well, whenever you get further in the story, it's definitely there's some vandalism involved here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was charged following investigations that led town officials to a hidden cryptocurrency mine that was set up in a secluded crawl space next to a Cohasset school's boiler room. The farm reportedly included 11 pieces of mining equipment as well as a ventilation system to ensure the mining equipment would not overheat. Oh man, that's awesome. I am.
It's actually like, I love the fucking picture that they have where I guess he had the computer like inside a cooler and he just zip tied one of the fucking vents for the air conditioning onto like a tube coming out of that cooler so that he could have that blowing over the computer.
Yeah,
Like
I think
that's
it's
so
on both sides, right? So it like has.
yeah. He has intake and whatever
Pass-through,
the
basically.
exhaust. Yeah. But he cut through the fucking ventilation of the school and then put that in line with it, and that's so fucking clever.
I do wonder how much money he made off, or how much crypto he made off this.
Probably
What?
not a ton.
Yeah, my question is, would the 17,000? Would it have been more than the $17,000 in electricity?
I doubt it, although he was using ASICs, so that's
That's
a lot better than just using a GPU.
Yeah, it's more efficient.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe. I guess it depends on like whether or not he had bought this stuff like a while ago or not.
We are basically going to read through this, but the whole thing, but I just find the story hilarious. I love it. The farm was originally discovered in December 2021 by Cohasset's facilities director during a routine school inspection. During the inspection, the director identified ductwork, wiring, and several computers that seemed out of place. No shit. What are all these computers doing in this boiler room? The farm was properly identified as an illegal cryptocurrency mining operation with the help of the town of Cohasset's information technology director. Once identified, the pair contacted authorities to further investigate the unauthorized operation and identify its owner. Oh man, I love it. We're gonna skip on a little bit past the next one. The miners in the release photos typically require large server-grade power supplies to maintain 24/7 operation. These supplies, which can range from 1,200 watts upwards to 2,600 watts or more per miner, can run a pretty hefty utility bill in a fairly short amount of time. In this case, Nahas is responsible for stealing $17,492 in electricity between April and December of 2021.
Now I wonder how they're determining that, if they're just going off of the maximum wattage possible or what? Because like I've got two 1100 watt power supplies in my server, but they are not pulling anywhere near that much most of the time.
I mean, well, okay, so I would say that these are probably pulling closer to that.
They're definitely pulling probably at least a kilowatt, but
you are probably correct in so far as they are probably just saying like this is the maximum amount that it would have been, and that's what we're charging him with.
Yeah.
He reportedly resigned from his position as an assistant facilities director with the town of Cohasset in the early part of 2022. A Massachusetts judge issued a default warrant earlier this week following Nahas's failure to show up for his February 23rd arraignment hearing. Local outlets later reported that Nahas turned himself in to authorities following the missing hearing. So, like we've all thought about this, right? We've all thought, like, I used to work at a couple different manufacturing companies where they run machines. The electricity bill at one of my jobs, my first IT job, the electricity bill there was $70,000 a month or so because of just all the giant machines that they had to run. And so thinking to myself, like, man, I could set up a couple crypto miners and they would not even notice. Like, they would not even notice the power bill go up at all. They would just think, oh, that's the new machine that they hooked up last week because they were constantly buying new machines.
Yeah.
But it was kind of silly because we had all these giant machines and they would the president would get like a hair up his ass and be like, "We need to save money. Make it so that the computers go to sleep after 7 minutes." Or turn off the monitor, make sure the computers turn off the monitor after 7 minutes. And I'm like, you do realize all of the monitors turned on at the same time is not going to use up that much power, right? And he's like, don't do it. Oh, okay then. And then we would get people complaining, being like, yeah, I'll turn around and I'll just talk to somebody for a minute. And then my screen will go off. And I'm like, yeah, the timer's 7 minutes. So you turned around and we're talking to them for 7 minutes. He's like, no, it'd be less than that. I'm like, no.
Nope.
It was 7.
Timer 7 minutes.
Yeah.
You're a human.
Yeah. So we just we ended up changing it and then testing it, and yeah, it was just him talking for a while.
My computer for work stays on 24/7. Well, as long as I want it to be.
Yeah.
Because I have a thing on it that just keeps the screen on.
Oh, caffeine? Or is it something else?
It's Power Toys Awake.
Oh yeah. I use caffeine.
I don't have a MacBook.
You can use caffeine on Windows.
There's a Windows version of caffeine now?
Yeah. Oh, there's been one forever. Yeah. That's what I use on mine so that I don't go my coworker's my coworker was like, that's why you're always available. And I was like, yeah. So anyway, I am very happy with this. I'm very happy that somebody did this and it wasn't me. But it is funny that he got caught. And I wish that this article said how much crypto he was able to get out of that.
They probably don't know.
They probably don't know.
I bet nobody even brought that up in the prosecution, even though it should have been brought up, because what if he generated more than that in crypto? Then this ends up just being a net positive for him.
Well, yeah, exactly. Then that would also be part of what the school should be getting out of him.
Although, if he was mining in this way, it was probably Bitcoin. So he probably didn't actually make that much.
No, it was either Bitcoin or Ethereum.
It wasn't Ethereum.
Why not?
Ethereum's proof of worth or something like that.
2021.
Oh, right. Okay, never mind then.
So the proof of worth, just so you know what Ro is talking about, is that in 2022, late last year, or middle of last year, I don't remember, they switched from proof of work?
Proof of work.
Yeah, to proof of worth.
Proof of whatever the fuck it is. I don't know if it's.
But basically,
proof of stake. That's it.
Okay, so they switched from being able to mine it with GPUs and ASICs and all that, from being able to mine it like this to a different way, which kind of killed the mining industry, for lack of a better term. But since this was done in 2021, he would have still been able to make a profit off Ethereum. So I'm thinking it was probably Ethereum, considering that's in 2021, everyone was like, the only way to make money by mining is using Ethereum or doing Ethereum. So he might have made a decent chunk of money. And I would be interested in that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about another news story. This one is not as fun. Volkswagen wouldn't help locate car with abducted child because GPS subscription had expired. This is from Ars Technica. So basically, exactly what it said. Somebody stole a car, and there was a child in it. And so I don't think from what I've read of the story, I think the person was stealing the car, not the child.
Correct.
The child just happened to be in the car. So
child was a bonus prize in the cereal box.
Exactly. From what I understand,
hell yeah, fresh meat.
we aren't going to read it like we did the last one, but from what I remember, and you can correct me, I know Connor has this more fresh in his head. The person went out of their car and went into their house to like either put groceries away or something. And in that interim time, somebody came up in another car, jumped, like the passenger of that car jumped out, grabbed their car with the child in it, and drove off.
Yep, and that's unfortunately getting super common here. This is in Libertyville, which is where my first over-the-table job was.
Yeah. And the car that the person was driving the other thief to, that was also stolen. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. So anyway, there is something called CardNet, which is a GPS tracking for your car, for Volkswagens, but it costs a decent chunk of money. So whoever had the car, once the trial had expired or whatnot, or subscription had expired, they just didn't renew it. And so it says here the detective pleaded, explaining the extremely exigent circumstance, but the representative didn't budge, saying that it was company policy. Sheriff's Office Deputy Chief Christopher Covelli said Friday the detective had to work out getting a credit card number and then call the representative back to pay $150 at the time so that the GPS location of the vehicle could be revealed. So usually companies, yes, they will have these policies, but those policies will generally be circumvented when it's a police officer calling in and being like, hey, there's a missing child or
Well, they
something
don't
like
know
this.
that it's a police officer. You could just be saying you're a police officer.
There
You're gonna have to go through our law enforcement department for that. Just send a letter to them, and they'll get back to you in 10 business days.
It does say here, Volkswagen said there was a serious breach of its process for working with law enforcement in the Lake County incident. The company uses third-party vendor to provide CardNet service. It says Volkswagen has a procedure in place with a third-party provider for CardNet support services involving emergency requests from law enforcement. They have executed this process successfully in previous incidents. Unfortunately, in this instance, there was a serious breach of the process. We are addressing the situation with parties involved. The company said in a statement provided to ours and other media outlets. So basically, it's saying whoever took that call is fired.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or got a strict talking to, because, and I don't really fault the person who took the call, because whatever knowledge base they were looking up probably said, no, we don't reactivate the service without the $150 fee. And if you didn't
I
know,
also wouldn't be surprised if there was a language barrier, just gonna put it out there.
that's possible too. Yeah.
I'm sure that with this being a third party working on behalf of Volkswagen, that this company probably just has their call center outsourced to some other country, India, and they definitely could have just misunderstood what the situation was. And what are you going to do about it?
Oh yeah, and here's even more. So I didn't remember the story mostly, but I had misremembered some of it. So the lady got out of the car with her other child, took the other child in the house, came back out for the 2-year-old. And it says a man wearing a mask got out of the BMW, the other car, and struggled to get in the victim's Volkswagen. As the victim tried to keep her 2-year-old son safe, the offender battered the woman, knocking her to the ground, and then stole the car with the child inside. And then they fled from the scene. One of the drivers ran her over as they fled.
Oh, Jesus.
The victim was still able to call 911, and the sheriff's deputies immediately responded. But it does say shortly after the Volkswagen was stolen with the child inside, the person working the business in the 2200 block of Lakeside Drive. How do you say that? Waukegan? Waukegan. Called 911 to report they saw 2 vehicles enter the parking lot, and the driver one of the cars abandoned a small child. The perpetrators fled, and the person who called 911 rescued the child from the parking lot. So the other person who called 911 grabbed the child and got them to safety. So that's good. So
Burglars are like, what the fuck do I do with this?
and the woman who was battered went to the hospital, was in serious but stable condition. So she is probably going to be okay. Now she's just going to be saddled with huge medical bills.
Yeah, it's a good system.
Yeah. So, thankfully the child was okay. The car seems to have been returned, and the woman is going to
Dead.
survive. She's not dead.
She's already dead.
She's in stable condition. Stable as in dead. No,
I don't think that condition's changing anytime soon. It's pretty stable.
But yeah, this is a problem with, it could be a language barrier. It could be training. Like, I know there are sometimes, like, I when I worked at Consumer Cellular, you go through 6 weeks of training, but that doesn't cover everything you might need to know. And a lot of those times, even if it does cover that, you're getting fed so much information so quickly that some things will just go over your head and you're not going to remember it, and you're not going to know it until you're in that situation. And at that time, you either do what this lady did or gentleman did on the phone, the customer service, where you just be like, nope, company policy, or you do the smart thing and you ask your manager what the heck you do. And realistically, that's probably what this person should have done. They should have called up somebody higher up. Usually they have support services for the regular techs, and that person should have been like, hey, we have an emergency officer, and apparently a 2-year-old is, has been abducted. Can we turn on the GPS?
The manager's like, yeah, for $150.
But yeah, so not a great story, but we're gonna move on, and we're gonna talk about some fun uses of auto drive, fully self-automated driving.
Level 3. I don't fucking
level 3 autopilot. There we go. Ford seeks to patent Repo system that could drive your car back to the lender. That sounds so bad.
Do you just need a reminder that you don't own anything anymore? Here it is. Ford owns your car forever.
Okay. To play devil's advocate, I assume for this patent, it would be if you weren't paying for your lease, or you weren't actually paying off your loan. So they would technically own the
payment.
car. Yeah, usually they don't repo your car for one missed payment.
Yeah, usually.
But now that the car can just drive itself back at the press of a button, it's going to be real convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention, like, no one ever makes any mistakes whenever it comes to car payments. There's definitely never any weird situation where, like, you definitely paid them and something didn't get processed on some back-end system somewhere, and now it looks like you're delinquent and your car is driving away without you. That would never happen.
That would never happen.
Systems definitely can't be hijacked and used maliciously, and there's just going to be a fleet of cars going to some Faraday cage somewhere in a truck where, it just disappeared on the blip in the road. I don't know what happened.
Well,
that's definitely not something that could possibly happen. No one would find a backdoor into the self-driving repo system where they then trigger it on every Ford vehicle in the entire country or anything. That won't happen. That's impossible.
Or set my house at the repo yard.
Yeah, or set, like, I don't know, it's some political figure's house as the target zone. It just
wouldn't happen. Would
not happen.
So, okay. It says the lender, for example, could start with disabling second-level optional use components like the air conditioning system, remote key fobs, or the automated door lock unlock system. Disabling these components may cause additional level of discomfort to a driver and occupants of the vehicle.
All right, so just in case you don't want to necessarily just steal the car directly back, maybe you just want to fuck with the owners instead.
That's amazing.
Which also allowing this to be controlled by some computer component is such a fucking shitty thing.
No. It gets better. So the system could also further command the radio to play an incessant and unpleasant sound every time you get in the vehicle with a constantly varying pitch, tone, cadence, beat, and volume. Should that still not get the owner's attention, the vehicle could lock the user out of the cabin, perhaps just on weekends, allowing the vehicle during weekdays to avoid adversely affecting a livelihood of the owner of the vehicle and hampering the owner's ability to make payments towards the vehicle.
I got a weird hypothetical for you guys. What if I'm putting my groceries in and like the bill hits past due, but my baby's still in the car and it starts driving away?
My headphones fell off. I threw my head back so hard.
Coming to a future near you. It's not a question of it's a question of when.
Yeah. Assuming no resolution happens on the payment front, the lender may elect to impound the vehicle. If the vehicle in question has autonomous capabilities, the repossession system can move the vehicle to a location that is more convenient for a tow truck to receive. Optionally, the repo system could autonomously drive the vehicle directly to the repossession agency. Sorry.
At this point, it is a repositioning agency too.
It would be. In an even more unimaginable scenario, the repo system can determine the value of the vehicle to see if it makes financial sense for the lender to repossess it at all. If not, the vehicle may be instructed to drive itself to the junkyard.
Go right into Lake Michigan. Off you go now.
I just love the idea of like you get in your car and you start it and it's like alert. Your payments are behind.
It just
does that the whole time you're trying to drive.
Someone's getting paid 15 cents an hour over in India to just press that button that does that on your car.
I don't know.
You get in an Uber and it's just like
it would be hilarious at the Ford dealership.
No, you know what it does? You get in the Uber and it's like
cock and ball torture from Wikipedia.
So it would be funny if you get into the car and they're like, I don't know, we did everything we could to try to get him to make his payment. Well, what did you do? Well, we made the key fob so it doesn't work, and we made it so the air conditioning doesn't work, and we made it play ska music all the time at full volume. But anyway, I don't know if you agree, but I don't like this.
No.
This is fucking disgusting. I already don't like that. Like OnStar, is a thing. Like I get it that like it was cool and useful back whenever like the most fancy phone on the market was the original Motorola Razr.
Yeah.
But like now you have a phone that can do everything that something like OnStar is capable of doing, where like it'll alert authorities that you're in an accident or whatever. There's no reason to have this level of connectivity in a vehicle. There just isn't.
No.
And with something like a vehicle that is a giant death box, you don't need to allow it to be remote controlled by any means. So we just stop it. Your car doesn't need to be connected to Wi-Fi. It just doesn't.
I don't mind that so much. I don't like this repossession, like somebody else can take control.
I don't like it having 3G connectivity either. Like at all. Like it should not have any kind of cellular connectivity in a vehicle. It's just not a good idea. If it does have that, it should all be separated into its own little box that has like No, not even like an electrical connection to anything else in the vehicle besides maybe like a sensor box or something. Like the stuff needs to be compartmentalized. I don't like the idea of there being any way to wirelessly interact with important systems like the fucking self-driving functionality or even the air conditioner or the locks, like because if it can turn off the auto locking functionality, then presumably and it says the vehicle could lock the user out of the cabin perhaps just on weekends. Like if it can lock and unlock the car remotely, that means that if somebody finds a way to backdoor the system, then thieves have it even easier than the fucking thing with Kia and Hyundai cars that happened a few months ago, where it turned out you could hotwire them with a fucking USB cable. Like,
Or you can, I think you can
or-
hack Teslas with Bluetooth.
I was about to say that. Or you have literally the same thing that happened with Teslas a little while back, where you could go up with a fucking Android phone and do a little diddly do on the phone, and suddenly you're in the car. Like that. This is why these are bad ideas. Like we have so much evidence showing that like having unnecessary connectivity to anything is bad, wirelessly at least. Like I know that it's a pain in the ass that if you have to update the firmware in your car, maybe you have to plug a flash drive into it, but it's a hell of a lot better than driving down the road and some guy with a laptop in his other seat on the highway can just make you wreck whenever he wants.
So let's back up here, and if that's your idea, where you want it to be, you don't want wireless on your car, why not make it that you can have a data line through the charger port, so that when you plug your car in at home, it would do the firmware update through through that.
That seems like a good idea.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I want my car to charge over PoE, power over Ethernet. Take 4 years to get to a full charge. That's what I want.
It's like 45-watt connection. Yeah.
But yeah, this is. I don't like this. It says, "What are your thoughts on the matter? Would Ford's patent help keep repo drivers out of harm's way?" I remember.
Fuck about repo drivers? Fuck them.
I'm not a huge fan of the repo man. I had a friend who did not pay their car. They were terrible with money. Just it's one of those friends that was making decent money, and yet somehow they always managed to overdraw their bank account just every single time they got paid. And he got a new car, a used car. And then he quit his job and moved to Montana. Which, why would you move to Montana? So he quit his job and moved to Montana and started working at like Starbucks, and clearly didn't have enough money to pay for his car. And so the repo guy kept trying to come by the house to, do his job and repossess the car. But they kept like putting obstacles in the way. Like he would have his roommate park behind him so that the repo man couldn't pull the car out and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a classic way.
Oh yeah. And I was just like, like maybe you should have, like, it's kind of your fault for not paying the bill.
Oh, it is.
I don't
but
think...
I also think that the car company should be the one that has to deal with that.
Yeah. I agree. And I don't like the idea that it would self-drive its way back. I
do like the one comment from somebody that's like, in reality, a Ford's just going to crash while driving itself back.
Exactly. And our last story is one that was brought by our good friend Cyberpunk Monk. So you can talk about this.
Yes, Reeton is done talking. So I shared this story because it made me giggle, and then from that giggling, I did a little bit of thinking, and I wanted to just have a little bit of a discussion with my two good friends about those thoughts. So this is according to thegamer.com, and I'm going to talk about like none of the actual story itself. but Sims 4 will soon let you make difficult family relationships. Now my fake family can be as dysfunctional as my real one.
Nice.
My first immediate question is, who asked for this? And then I thought about it for like 30 seconds, and I was like, oh, right, players who play The Sims.
Yeah,
That's true.
Like,
Well, Well, and here's another thing. In in like the early 2000s, over 50% of families are like from broken homes or dysfunctional families or whatnot. They're not the typical nuclear family.
Yeah, people suck.
So we're the majority. Like having messed up families is the majority of people in the United States, at least.
And it's
It is-
about. Go on.
well, yeah, it is weirdly, I guess, ironic in a way that, yeah, like this is actually a form of representation that probably should have been in a lot sooner because it's the norm.
And it's about damn time that my virtual video game be able to represent. Like, remember we were talking about earlier how like we like to play video games to relax and like not to have conflict, to, it's just, minimizing that sort of stuff. And then this latest update in The Sims is like, hey, you said you don't have enough of that?
Connor will not play It Takes Two with me.
I have no interest in playing It Takes Two. I'm sorry, buddy.
I don't have parents that were divorced because my parents were never married. But Connor's reason is he doesn't want to play a game that involves that aspect in it, right?
It does not particularly seem interesting to me, like, at all.
So do they have any specifics on what type of broken families or dysfunctional families you can have?
They break it down from a screenshot. I'm sure it's probably a little more complicated than that under the hood.
The trailer goes into details.
I didn't actually watch the trailer, so that's my bad. The four basic dynamics that they wanted to offer was you could either be close with a family member, you could be distant with them, they could be a difficult relationship, or you can be jokesters with one another. If you were watching the video, what sort of other options are available?
So it's like those kind of define the baseline for like how they'll interact, and then like that facilitates creating sort of nuances within that later. So like if I watched this like when you posted the story, I think, or maybe a little before that, because I saw that this had happened and I was like, that's kind of cool. But like it ends up making it where it creates like an artificial challenge if you do like a difficult relationship within a family dynamic, because then like you can have a kid who is really close to his grandfather but hates his father, but then like the grandfather likes the father, so then if they're all in the same room together, then like completely different scenarios can play out that wouldn't normally happen because everyone's past relationships, or everyone's relationships, are completely based on previous events normally in The Sims, and particularly in the case of families, like those just have a normal baseline of positive. So like I don't seem to recall that there's like any or a ton of further stuff with that. There is like how you can, and this was probably in the game already, I just haven't played it, but
I am currently watching the video, and towards the 2-minute mark it shows that there's a kid who is like 10 or so, and then there is a baby, and the 10-year-old hates the baby.
Wait,
Yeah.
it's you.
It's me.
because the 10-year-old used to be the only child, and now the baby has come in and everyone cares about the baby more than him.
Yeah.
And like it seems like what this generally does in terms of actual gameplay is that it makes it so that certain interactions between two Sims that would normally result in one thing could now result in a different response. So like playing a prank on somebody that you have a jokester relationship with, normally that could be a negative thing, but instead will be positive for both people. Whereas, like, if you have a difficult relationship between two Sims and they try to hug, then one or both of them could end up having a negative interaction because of that. Like, it's neat. What annoys me is that it's paid DLC.
Yeah. It is free. I guess the base game is free to play now?
The base game is free, but as Connor so helpfully posted, there's $500 worth of DLC out now.
No. Hold on. There's actually an update to that. No, it's okay for a game like The Sims, which has now gone free to play, to like consistently make things for people to purchase. Like you got to have like a business model, right? But and I'm just gonna how much do you think, if you wanted the full Sims 4 experience, how much do you think that would cost?
$782.
Yeah, you would think. How about you? What do you think? What do you think sounds right?
Probably like 800.
Well,
It's gonna be more than that.
it's
no.
$1,044.37 if you want the entire
no.
Sims 4 experience. And
Now,
let me tell you, not fucking worth it.
there
Not-
is a potential that some of this stuff might be like duplicates. So like maybe some of the packs would include the stuff packs, but I don't really know, honestly. There is also the potential that none of it is included in anything else, and there's no duplicate items anywhere, and it actually costs $1,000. Neither would surprise me.
I
At
am
all.
inclined to think it's the latter.
Yeah, add all to cart, Connor.
It's going to be $1,000 if I do that.
Well, no, you can
but
add it to
It
cart.
won't let you buy like duplicates of the same thing, or at least it'll tell you.
Yeah. Don't actually buy it.
Oh no, I clicked buy. Okay, I could get a subscription to EA Play. Not fucking doing that. That's probably what they really want you to do, is get a subscription plan. And then
Even
forget
if
about
you
it.
do, you don't get all the DLC.
Despicable.
It's fucking
Despicable.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay, and the answer is nope, $1,044.37.
Okay.
That makes me want to fucking puke.
Yeah, that's disgusting. But yeah, so you can either pay $1,044 for all of the Sims, or you can pay that much money and buy a single ship in Star Citizen.
Or, speaking of ships, you guys, what's that on the right? Black sails. Oh no, there's pirates in the ocean.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. We can do that.
It's not like I have an active torrent for the most recent expansion that also includes all previous content or anything.
No, I wouldn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. But what I do know what I'm talking about is that this is the end of the episode, and I would like to thank you for being here, Aroa.
Yeah, I was here.
And I would like to thank you for being here, Akonora.
I made it this time. I wasn't hurrying to get here and failed anyways.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Nobody missed me.
I missed you. And we'll be back next week talking about some more news stories. Thank you for being here. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.